Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Nowe odcinki każdego tygodnia. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełnione błędy, bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Angielski z Konradem. I hope you are well, ready and willing to learn. Enjoy the show. The language is an unquestionable part of culture. So is cooking. Why not combine the two and learn two skills at the same time? Before we begin, some useful vocabulary. Beat, ubić. Heat, rozgrzać. Pour, wlać, wylać. Serve, podać. Elaborate, rozwinięty. Elaborate, rozwinąć. We will start with some philosophy. Don't worry, nothing too difficult. The French anthropologist is a scientist who studies humanity and what makes us human, Claude Lévi-Strauss came up with a notion that within every culture, be it past or present, you can find three basic expressions of food. Raw, roasted, as the most primal means of food preparation, meaning done in some way, and rotten. What do we get out of this connection? Lévi-Strauss indicated that the notion of food preparation is universal for every culture and civilization, past or present. Food as the most basic notion of language can be used efficiently in language learning. I experienced it firsthand. I used to work as a cook in Germany. I knew some German beforehand, but, as any foreigner abroad I imagine, I had certain speaking barrier at first. I came to realization that the language used in the classroom by students, by teachers, by coursebook publishers is not very useful in real-life predicament, especially when something needs to be done quickly and efficiently. The chef mainly communicated with me using imperatives, upon which I will elaborate later. As I got used to the language and the rhythm of kitchen prep, the staff used increasingly elaborate language when communicating with me. In a few weeks' time, I was speaking German like a pro, at least in case of the work I had to do. We can get two things from learning English from recipes. The first, the obvious, vocabulary. Not only do you get to memorize various food products, but also verbs and adjectives, as mentioned above. Cooked, undercooked, overcooked, just to name a few. The second is magical. You learn grammar, namely imperatives. Imperatives are as easy as pie, unintended cooking pun. First of all, there's only one subject in imperatives, you, be it singular or plural. Secondly, it's unnecessary to mention the subject in your sentence. Thirdly, to form a negative sentence, all you need to do is add don't at the beginning of the sentence. Let's look at some example sentences. Run. Don't touch it. Think before you act. As you can see, your imperative sentence can consist of a verb exclusively. That usually depends on the urgency of the current predicament. If we are in any immediate danger, a brief order works the best to get the point across. You can also find imperatives in any sort of manuals and instructions, but for the sake of convenience and practicality, we will focus on food. Let's look at some basic scrambled eggs recipe. The first one I found. The link to the recipe is in the description. It looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? Ingredients list first, eggs, milk, some oil, etc. Then instructions on what to do with said ingredients. This example is particularly nifty since all the actions are presented in bold. As such, they can easily form an imperative, and they do. Beat the eggs, heat the pan, pour the mixture into the heated pan, pull the eggs across the pan, remove from heat, serve. As you can see, recipes can be a useful tool, not only for cooking, but for language learning as well. Cooking in general is a fun experience, and if you manage to make a satisfying dish by following a recipe in English, you have succeeded. Well done. Have a go and try to translate existing recipe from your native language, or, better yet, start from scratch and develop your own. I know you can do it. Thanks for listening. In case you had forgotten, here's the revision of vocabulary for this episode with some example sentences. You will hear each sentence twice. Beat, beat, ubijać. Beat the eggs until you get a smooth mixture. Beat the eggs until you get a smooth mixture. Heat, heat, rozgrzać. Heat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Heat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Pour, pour, wlewać. Pour the mixture into a bowl. Pour the mixture into a bowl. Serve, serve, podać. Serve the dish on a plate. Serve the dish on a plate. Elaborate, elaborate, rozwinięty. This recipe is not very elaborate, even for beginners. This recipe is not very elaborate, even for beginners. Elaborate, elaborate, rozwinąć. Can you elaborate on your point? Can you elaborate on your point? And that's the conclusion of today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.